But before we start today's interview, I just wanted to give a quick mention to our sponsors, because this month the podcast is brought to you by Flipper, which is the #1 marketplace to buy and sell online businesses and startups. So, do you run your own online business? And have you ever considered selling your website, your store, your tech, or your app? Because with world-class combined matching technology, dedicated brokers and end-to-end services, all at the most efficient price, Flipper is making it simple to sell your online business. So to get a free valuation, visit my friends at flipper.com/techtalks, where each month thousands of online business owners exit with Flipper. Again, visit flipper.com/techtalks. That's FLIPPA, flipper.com/techtalks. Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. I've got a great guest lined up for you today. His name is William McKnight. He's been recognised as one of the #1 global influencers in big data, cloud and data centre by Thinker 360, and the #1 global influencer in master data management by Onalytica. And he's also the founder and president of the McKnight Consulting Group, which advises many of the global 2000 companies, including Pfizer, Verizon, Dell, Oracle, and so many others. And they help them faster grow their businesses with big data. And with over 30 years of experience in this business, and as a highly sought speaker, and spoken on 4 continents for a diverse collection of organisations, including IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, Bank of America, and SAP, I think it's fair to say he knows his stuff. So buckle up and hold on tight, because I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Dallas, Texas, where we're going to talk about all this, along with how businesses can learn about data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, who is watching them, what they'll learn, and how they can use that data collected from them. So a massive warm welcome to the show, William. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Hello, Neil. William McKnight. I'm calling in from Dallas, Texas area today, where I live, and I run McKnight Consulting Group. And I've been in the space of enterprise data for my whole career. And as a consulting group, we define projects, architectures, and roadmaps for our clients, which are usually enterprise clients or upper mid-size clients. And we also do a substantial amount of work with the vendors in this space. So helping them that have great value propositions, helping them get the word out. We do a lot of competitive analysis and things like that. So we're just kind of all over data and how enterprises use data and manage data and get the most out of their data.
And you mentioned that you've been in enterprise data for your entire career. And I'm curious, if we was to take you back in time, what's your origin story there? Did something happen to ignite that spark in you?
Oh, going way back. Well, back in high school, quickly, I had a computer course. It was COBOL back then, and we were using punch cards. So yeah, that tells you something about how long ago it was. But I had an instructor there, Mr. Pouchet, and he took me aside one day and he said, "If you don't get into this business, you're crazy." And that was about the only career advice I ever received. So I went ahead and took the advice and got into computer science. When I graduated with a computer science degree, I interviewed at IBM, and they interviewed me across 4 different product lines. I didn't know one from the other: DB2, IMS, CICS, something else. And then at the end of the day, they said, "Well, which one do you want?" And I said DB2 because it sounded kind of cool. But I picked well because DB2 is still around, and it was, kind of served as the foundational database for my foray into databases. And I've evolved with the industry and nudged it a little bit in my own ways myself as I've gone along here.
Wow, what a great story. I love that. And I love how you instinctively chose DB2 there without really realizing the implications of it and how it all worked out. And of course, that path would eventually lead to you becoming the founder and president of McKnight Consulting Group, which advises many of the global 2000 companies, including some big names here: Pfizer, Verizon, UnitedHealth Group, Dell, Oracle, so many others there. And you help them all on ways to faster grow their business with data. But can you tell me more about the work you do and the kind of customers you help, just to bring to life what we're talking about here?
So it might be a finance company, it might be a bank, hospitals, someone in healthcare, telecom. We're really not beholden to any particular vertical. We have done a lot in healthcare and finance. But a lot of times companies will come to us when they have a problem or they don't know what to do. They have 10 things they could do and they need to figure it out. And really, our industry is more complicated than ever. So I totally get that and sympathize. But I try to stay on top of it for them. And now the big wave is, well, we got to move into artificial intelligence. And I totally agree. But the foundation of artificial intelligence is data. It's enterprise data. It's having that data in a manageable form. It's having the data clean. It's having the data accessible. It's having that data well performing and under great operations and so on. So a lot of companies fall short when it comes to that. And they're falling short on just good old using analytics in their business. And so we help them get the data. What I like to say is get the data act together. Get the data into the right platforms to succeed, get it all working together interoperably. There's no one size fits all. You can't just put all data in one thing and everything will be fine. That's not the world we live in today. There's a lot of databases and data stores that make sense in an enterprise. And most enterprises have several of these, but they need to work harmoniously in order for the users to know where the data is, be able to get the data. It's not just users anymore. It's also applications and processes that are consuming data within an organization. So a lot of companies come to us, they want to be data-driven. That's sort of the catchphrase. They want to be data-driven, and we love helping those companies that want to go from a low level of maturity with data to a high level of maturity with data.
Well, to set the scene for today's conversation, for any business leader listening out there, can you tell me more about who's watching them, what they're going to learn, and also how they can use the data that's being collected from them? Because I think this is a topic that we don't talk about enough, right?
Well, I agree. Data is an asset, and many companies use their data as an asset, as a direct asset. In other words, they can turn around and sell that data on the open market. So if there's a scintilla of interest in the open market of data, a lot of companies are deciding to go ahead and sell data as well. As long as it's clean and manageable, you might have that as an avenue towards some revenue. So who's watching you? Well, as your data goes into these companies, it might leak out into other companies. And of course, Google and Facebook are, kind of egregious about this. And so I encourage everybody to look at your own personal privacy settings, make sure they're right for you. Of course, we want all that customization. We want all that individualization that we get from these companies. But at the same time, you're giving up data that just gets exponentially, expanded in the open market, and inferences are drawn from your data for better or worse. And, over the course of time, we'll see how this all goes. But who's watching you? Yeah, it's a lot of people and a lot of companies that you may not even be aware of. Also, I must answer that question with our employers are increasingly watching us, and they have monitoring on our software that they want us to use. Sometimes you're given a choice, which is great. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're just expected. It's sort of a productivity tool, and who can argue with that, right? But yeah. I don't know if it's great for work-life balance, for a lot of people, but that's out there too, for sure.
Love that. And something else we don't talk about, of course, very often is the new analytic uses of master data management inside enterprises. Is there anything you can share around that and what you're seeing?
Well, master data is the set of data inside of organizations that most every application wants to use, like your master customer list or your master product list, or where your physical sites are, or your parts, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that you can think of like that makes for a great master list. But you might be surprised if you're not in a complex organization to know that sometimes these companies have many, many lists and they're in conflict. And the reason for this is many. It's hard to get an organization's act together around a single list. However, there is a discipline called master data management. We do that for many, many clients. And the idea of master data management is to build that list and distribute that data. Build it once, use it many times within the organization. It just illuminates everything else. It's like providing data as a service internally. And we like that. And our clients have reaped a lot of efficiencies. And they've also been able to add a lot of capabilities because they have this out of the way. And with a single list, you can really build it out. Like for a customer, you can build out all manner of analytics about that customer. And you know it's going to go places within the organization. You're not just building it once for a throwaway. So master data management is a very important discipline inside of organizations. And when you're talking about big data, you're collecting all that sensor data, all that clickstream data, and so on. You have to have master data in order to bring that data to light, to give it meaning, because a simple transaction, a simple what we call an event inside an organization, that's nice, but who did the event? Where did the event occur? Under what conditions? And so on. That's what brings that data to light. So I like to say master data management really is going to make artificial intelligence work within an organization.
And something you mentioned a few moments ago as well was artificial intelligence and machine learning. And they are in danger of reaching buzzword status at the moment, and there's a lot of hype around them. So how do you think AI will significantly impact how organizations think about their data resources? Because I think we're only beginning to just understand that, just the potential on offer here.
Well, it's going to significantly impact organizations in terms of how they operate, and it's going to significantly impact how we all live our lives. I mean, really, over the next 25 years, we're going to see massive changes in society. It's going to be brought on by the advances in artificial intelligence. And let's start with automation. Anything that doesn't require several minutes of human thought can be done through automation, through AI's ability to devour and make sense of vast amounts of information and bring it to bear on many different situations. We see this in research, legal research, healthcare research, all manner of research like that. We see it in it's automating different parts of a supply chain, of a manufacturing plant. And today a lot of us think of the high water mark of intelligence as being kind of what humans can aspire to, but it's really not. It's really well beyond that when you add in artificial intelligence, which again can devour information, make sense of it, for better or for worse. There's going to be mistakes along the way. I'm not sitting here saying it's going to be smooth sailing and a nice linear journey forward with artificial intelligence. There's going to be fits and starts, but it is inevitable. It is the next wave of technology that is inevitable, that organizations are embracing, and they're embracing for their own purposes internally, as well as the products and services that they put on the market.
And as we all collectively begin to explore the art of the possible and the big transformational change ahead, I'm going to ask you to gaze into your virtual crystal ball here and ask you, what critical technologies or critical trends do you think we're going to see that's going to change the world in the next, say, 10 years? Is there anything that really stands out for you?
Well, no surprise, I'm going to say artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of derivatives of sort of traditional artificial intelligence, if you will, that are going to be just the catalyst for the changes in terms of design, in terms of data analysis, text analysis, self-driving cars. We're seeing that already, and trucks, of course. Companionship, something we don't think about too much. Right now, our phones are sort of passive devices that sit there and wait for us to speak at it or ask it to do something for us. But true companions sometimes are, take the initiative. And I think we're going to see more of that. Let's see maybe if it can contribute to advances in our mental health and so on. And I think if there's another area that I'm excited about in terms of technology, it's genetic modification and genetic enhancements around DNA. Again, I'm not saying that it's going to be smooth sailing going forward. And when I say excited, I'm excited just to see the changes and make healthcare more personalized, Obviously, we're now all into remote medicine and remote visits and so on. There's a lot of triage that's being done by computer and artificial intelligence today. And that's going to be more and more true going forward. And there's going to be more and more taking into account of our individual DNA so that treatment plans and so on can be specialized to the individual.
And you've talked a little about how you're helping businesses overcome challenges, overcome problems, etc., with technology. And I'm curious, what about you, though? What keeps you up at night? And how do you keep your curiosity and open-mindedness alive, especially around new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning? Because that requires a fair bit of work too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I encourage everybody in this space and in all spaces really to keep their learning up, keep their knowledge base up, because in my space, it keeps changing all the time. And I kind of love that about it because I like staying ahead of things. It gets tiring sometimes because there's always another change. And I have to analyze everything that I'm told as an analyst. I speak to vendors all the time, take in briefings, talk to them at analyst days, what we call analyst days and roadshows and so on. And I have to take it all with a grain of salt and kind of bring it back into the blender here of everything that's going on, not only in the vendor community, but in the enterprise space. And does it make sense? And how am I going to translate this and educate my audience, the ones that follow my brand? How am I going to translate this for them? And do I even need to? And what can I do about that? So I'm just immensely curious about things. And this space I'm in right now really allows me to exercise that curiosity, because at this point, I have a good brand in the market and I can go wherever I need to go to learn whatever I need to do. But we can all do this to some degree. And I just encourage everybody out there to keep your learning up, dedicate some hours a week to it. Because the change that artificial intelligence is going to bring, not even for your business, but also as a consumer, it's going to hit a lot of people like a ton of bricks. It really is. If people are not aware of the changes that are happening around them, the possibilities that are increasingly available to enterprises today that they will use, it's all going to hit them like a ton of bricks. So education is really key.
100% with you there. And of course, we're at that time of the year now where we're starting to think about how these tech trends we're discussing are going to impact 2023 and a brand new year of new goals, etc. So what's next for you? What's going to be your big focus in 2023?
I'm going to continue to build the brand. I'm going to continue to innovate our products so that they make sense in the marketplace to our enterprise customers and also to the vendors that support those enterprise customers. But I'm going to really be thinking hard about how do I create the next generation? How do I help create the next generation of leaders in data? And that is going to be leaders based on AI. How do I help them not only be productive and efficient for their companies, but help them do the right thing? Anyway, think about, AI ethics and so on. But keep the focus on data. That is what's going to make artificial intelligence successful.
Love that. And a question I've got to ask now. We started the podcast talking about your origin story, what put you on this path. And as we come full circle, I'm going to ask you to leave us with something else. And that is a book that has inspired you or means something to you, or you can recommend, or a song for our Spotify playlist that has inspired you, helps you get your head in the zone, or any reason at all. All I ask is, what are you going to leave us with and why?
Okay. Well, I have a lot of hobbies this way, a lot of interests. I have been listening the heck out of the latest Skid Row album. And so I am going to pick the first song off of that album, which is called Hell or High Water, because sometimes we have to go through that. I love it when these bands that really made sense to me from back in the 80s are still doing it today with a lot of integrity. And I'd say this album is that for me. So Hell or High Water for you there, Neil.
Wow, that takes me back. I hadn't heard of them for years. Is Seb back still with them?
No, he's been gone for a while. They've gone through a bunch of different singers, but the latest singer is really helping to revive that band. He is an inspirational guy, Swedish. He's gone through cancer. and he just brings a lot of energy to the to Skid Row. And that's, I mean, I like this singer when he was singing in Heat, which is another band, and he had to leave that band for his condition. And I'm just so glad to see him back in action.
Wow, I'm going to check that out. You've opened my curiosity there. So I'll be checking that out and rock out to that a little later. But for anyone listening, just wanting to find out more information about everything you're doing, all the topics we discovered today, maybe connect with you or your team, what's the best starting point for everything?
Connect with us at McKnight, CG, that stands for consultinggroup.com. And you can see our services there. You can see some of our past clients, a lot of our research and books, and how to contact us.
Well, one of the things we never mentioned in the podcast interview there is how you've been recognized as one of the Inc. 5000's fastest growing private companies in the US 2 times, and your clients are in 14 different countries. It's amazing to hear how you do all that and how you're turning data into a real corporate asset. But more than anything, thank you for coming on, leaving us with a great tune, and sharing your origin story too. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Neil. It was fun.
I must admit, after William mentioned Skid Row, I now have the line, Ricky was a young boy, he had a heart of stone. I had that line playing on repeat inside my head now. But a huge thank you to William for coming on there and sharing some invaluable insights around new analytic uses of master data management in the enterprise, and also talking about how AI will significantly impact how organizations think about their data resources and the trends that he's seeing in the industry right now. But I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts about anything we discussed today, including Skid Row's back catalogue, of course. So let's keep this conversation going. Email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes. And tomorrow, I'm going to return it again with another guest about a completely different topic. So today was all about helping businesses faster grow with big data. Come and join me again tomorrow. We've got another topic lined up. So thanks for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.